to me, it seems like it could be catapult for strength and conditioning coaches on the psychological aspect and being able to have somebody that they can refer to and help them with what they're trying to do. Does that make any sense?
It does. And what I would do is I'd say, like, let's take one step back and look at things globally for a sec. And something that Fernando kind of was instigating the conversation with that led you to say, hey, let's hit the record button, which is we are becoming more and more data driven than ever before. But as my stats professor once told me, he said, look, garbage in equals garbage out. So just because we can doesn't always necessarily mean that we should. And so one of the mechanisms right now is people are collecting a lot of data, but they're not quite sure what to do with it.
Amen.
And one of the taglines that I like to say when I'm talking with teams about data and analytics and data collection is the concept of you want to ideally amplify a signal and eliminate the noise. And right now we are in a world that has more noise than ever before. So one concept is, can we amplify the signal, eliminate the noise? The other concept is, as much as analytics gives us a really concrete number, and we like concrete numbers because, like in European football, 3 points will always beat a team that scores 3 points will always beat a team that scores 1 point. Like that 3-1 is a no-brainer. So we look at numbers and we like how hard they are. We like how concrete they are, how digestible. And then you can also add them to a graph or a chart, and then they become really colorful and magical looking, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I like to do when I talk to teams is I say, look, like, don't be fooled by the numbers. And, when you're talking to owners who are billionaires, sometimes I will reference, like, you have a financial planner. Most wealthy people do. And you got to ask yourself, what does a financial planner need your money? If they have such analytics and algorithms of how to invest in the stock market, then they should have already retired. And so I always like to talk about like the stock market and sports, which is why gambling is so popular, is they both are actually driven not just by facts, but by how people perceive these facts, how they go about digesting these facts. So now let's bring this back into the under the hood of the car that we drive, being in professional sports. It's really interesting, right? Because if we're looking at a report and we go, hey, this guy outscored this guy, well, we should take the higher score every time. And it's like, that's not always the case, because there's a complexity of all of these different variables that come together to help us. It's a rich tapestry. So, and I'm kind of all over the place, so hopefully this is making sense to either the two of you or those that are listening. And if not, please jump in. When the financial advisor tells us to invest our money in, let's just make up a stock, the widget company. He's doing it based off of homework, right? The widget company has this kind of tech industry and this kind of, money out, all these facts and variables. But it's also based off the human perception of this stock is going to be good. In sports, it's the exact same thing. We see a player and we go, oh my gosh, man, this guy is fast. He's strong. He's in the right place at the right time. He's doing all these things. And now all of a sudden there's a narrative that starts to build up. But one of the things that we know to be true with science in decision making is human beings are kind of notorious for being wrong. We have all kinds of biases that filter in, like confirmation bias, right? Where we only accept the pieces of data that fit the narrative or the conclusion we want to get to. And so I think what happens is really good analytically driven teams are doing a great job of preventing garbage in equals garbage out. So they're being selective in what pieces of data they're measuring and how they're measuring it. And then they're using it in conjunction with the artistry of talent evaluation and coaching.
Yeah.
How have you seen it being used? Oh, you go.
I was going to say, like, when we talk about, like, off camera and we talk about analytics and data driven, I feel like of the people I've met and the places that I've seen, do what I consider to be a good job, are the people that know how to surf between one end or the other. Because I see on the one side people that are scared of like facts and data driven, so they just, you know, cognitive bias, they reject everything as that, and they would like, you know, because they don't understand, they don't know how to use it, or, you know, feel like their added value is that instinct that you can't really quantify, so they sort of like pride on the like this like mythical skill that no one can really judge, so you get away with that. And then the others are the ones that are paranoid about the future, trying to predict, like predictive models and all this and all that. And like you said, it's just that's why I believe removing the human factor will be really hard. And the human factor is the distinctive characteristic, because there's people that know, you know, have the art of coaching, if you want to call it something, but also understand numbers. So, you know, like you said before as well, that when you're looking at something, you're making decisions based on stats. You are making decisions based on the past, and you know the fact that the sun came out since the world started doesn't mean it's going to come out tomorrow. Statistically, very, 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 very likely, but
Right.
you know what I mean. I can't remember what that exact bias was like, but anyway, do you know what I mean? Like, so until something different happens, then the rule we have is only what we've seen. So
Yeah, the way I like to phrase it is like in the NFL, the National Football League, there's 32 teams. If all 32 teams invest in analytics, every Sunday, which is the day that they play all their games, every Sunday, 16 teams are going to be right and 16 teams are going to be wrong. So 16 teams are going to go, I love analytics, and I love how analytics helped us make all these decisions that helped us win. And the 16 teams that lost are going to be like, this stuff's a bunch of hooey, and they're going to throw it out.
yeah,
The other example I give, this goes back to gambling, is if we could come to a level of mastery where analytics perfectly captures all data and all predictive models and indices, then there would be no need to even play the games. You would just say, hey, team X has all the right variables over team Y, no point even playing. So what I like to do is I like to think of analytics, and again, this is the blend of art and science, is when it comes to, you know what's a good example? Amazon. So Amazon uses their analytic formula where they say, look, we don't know why, but we have seen a statistical trend that in the month of October, snow shovels sell more in places like Minnesota or Michigan than they do, say, in a place like Florida or Louisiana. So what Amazon does with that analytic algorithm is they send more snow shovels to the warehouses up north, so that way, one, shipping costs are down and shipping efficiency goes up, right? They can deliver a snow shovel in 1 or 2 days. So analytics used correctly can improve our efficiency in our decision making. But I don't know if it'll ever actually predict with definitiveness.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more videos just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you.